Everybody loves a good David and Goliath story, and it's no different here in the enterprise technology space. And that's what we're going to cover here today is David versus Goliath and how mid-market vendors stack up against some of the bigger competitors and why you might want to consider mid-market ERP and enterprise technology vendors. My name is 𝗚cie𝗹𝗶𝗁. I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting. We're a tech agnostic and independent consulting firm that helps clients with their digital transformations. And this is our weekly live discussion that we do every week. We normally do these on Tuesdays, but we're having a special time here today to accommodate an international panel discussion here today. I'm in the US and our guests are joining us here from Israel. And I'll introduce them in just a moment. But before we do, just a couple quick logistical things. We're streaming to all the major platforms, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, TikTok. So wherever you're joining from today, thank you for being here. And please drop any questions or chat or any questions or comments you have in the chat. We're keeping an eye on that, and we'll make sure that we get to those questions here as we get through the conversation. Second of all, and speaking of the chat, I'd love to hear what city and country you're all joining from. So if you don't mind joining or mentioning in the chat what city and country you're joining from, love to hear from you here on that here today. So our topic here today is David versus Goliath, how mid-market vendors compete against and compare to some of the bigger software vendors that may be better known, but don't necessarily have better capabilities or better functionality than other software vendors that are out there. And joining me to have this conversation is 𝗚cie and 𝗶𝗃𝗁 from Priority Software. 𝗚cie and 𝗶𝗃𝗁, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So real quickly, 𝗚cie, why don't we start with you? And if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do at Priority Software, and just a little bit about your background.
I'll try to make it short because it's a long story. So
sure
basically, I'm at Priority for like 3.5 years. I've been working with Priority almost 20 years, but I had my own company. It was a software house that built add-ons for Priority that got acquired by Priority in 2022. And after it got acquired, they asked me, okay, what do you want to do now? And I said, one of the things I like to do, how to do, is find, business problems and technologies that can solve them. So I think innovation could be fit to my needs. And I said, okay, go for it. And because I went to innovation, because everybody's talking about AI, so I jumped on AI and started doing AI in multiple places. So I'm doing now AI for the company itself, the transformation internally of the company to AI, and forward-facing our customers and resellers, looking at the product side too. So this is something that is we're highly investing in what we call AI ERP. And of course, I'm trying to find ISVs, independent software vendors, that can really help us leverage Priority and bring their added value, and giving them the ability to go to our market and go to our customers and make a big impact at the end of the day, combining all of these together.
Right. So you've seen how Priority Software has been able to take a dose of its own medicine as it relates to AI. You're not just building features and functions in the software, but you actually have gone through your own transformation to use AI as well.
As you're saying, we're walking the walk and we're talking the talk.
Yes. Very good. Well, great to have you here. And I'm going to come back to some of the points you just made. I want to come back and ask you some questions around that, particularly as it relates to how you as a company what are some of the lessons from having used and implemented AI, but we'll come back to that in a moment. But before we do that, 𝗶𝗃𝗁, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, so nice to see everyone today. Nice to meet you. I'm actually in the product organization. I'm the product director for the ERP in Priority, essentially for the Priority ERP. And I joined relatively recently. I joined around 8 months ago. And before that, I was actually in a lot of adjacent spaces, building AI products for planning, for demand forecasting, for B2B sales, also some kind of chat your ERP type of capabilities that I tried to build prior to Priority as well. So a lot of that AI background, I've been doing AI product management for more than 10 years. So it's my bread and butter as well. And I'm happy to bring those capabilities as part of Priority. Right, this is that I'm very very excited about it.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's an exciting time to be in the enterprise technology space right now. I'm always
Yeah, for sure.
I always think it'd be fat, even though we are in the space, we're not a vendor, but I always think as a vendor, it's got to be a real exciting time for you guys, especially. Want to just turn to the audience real quickly and thank several people for joining. Darian on LinkedIn says, good morning, everyone. Hello. Thanks for joining, Darian. Charlotte joining from Dallas, Texas. Thank you for being here today, Charlotte. So I believe it's Son from LinkedIn. It says, good morning, everyone. Yuri says, good morning. And 𝗚cie says hello as well. So thank you for everyone joining here today and letting us know where in the world they're joining from. So a couple, just to start, I guess, to set the context for the conversation here, this whole David versus Goliath theme. Tell us a little bit about why should a company in general, if we set aside AI and features and functions and all that stuff, why should a company consider a mid-tier, a mid-market ERP vendor like Priority Software instead of just going down the path of, say, a Microsoft or an Oracle or SAP, one of the household brand names? What does a mid-market ERP vendor like Priority Software provide that maybe a bigger provider can't?
You want me to start, or if you want
No,
to start?
you should start. You should start, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to give my 2 cents, my point of view, and I think the first thing we're trying to bring to the market is innovation, and because it's kind of my bread and butter. But what I'm thinking of, I recently was 2 prospects in the States, and of course they're asking Priority who. I mean, nobody knows Priority like Oracle or SAP, and the first prospect said, okay, we're looking for something that will give us a solution that will be really easy we have like 300 employees that are doing sales orders, but ERP is complicated. It's very, it's a lot of screens, and we have a big turnover of people over here. We want to give them something simple. And because Priority is a platform and has a lot of options, I said, okay, we have something called a portal generator. So let's use the portal generator instead of giving them standard ERP, give them this slick user interface, like an e-commerce user interface that'll be really easy for them to use. And instead of educating them how to use an ERP system, this could be a great solution for this employees that have a high turnover over there. Another customer, I think, and of course we're competing with the big ERPs, and everybody said we can solve it, but we need to bring a third party. So I think when looking at Priority, we have a very big toolbox. Another company I remember I was in, and again, we're coming as an underdog. We have to bring something that is innovative. Unless I said, okay, if you're just more of the same like the other ERPs, why should we take you? So another big prospect, there is a big logistics company, and one of the things we have in Priority is an internal WMS module. So I said, okay, this is out of the box. You don't need to go to a third party now. And this is going to be an easy implementation. And look at the latest thing I did now. So I took out of my bag this strip of LED lights and this IoT connector. And I said, look, you put it in the warehouse. And the moment you put it, when there's this parking lot, then you go to a parking lot, you see this green light that tells you this is like an empty parking lot. So in the same concept, I said, now we have these LED lights that Priority is going to tell you, your storekeepers, each one is going to get a different color. It's going to say, now this is like a landing strip. This is the bins that you need to go to pick from or put away. And again, all these gadgets, all these things that we do with Priority and the ability and the flexibility, this is a game changer. And this is, I think, what captures the customers to think, okay, they know how to give us a solution to our specific needs and specific problems. So this is the kind of short stories that I was competing with the big, let's say the big ERP ones, and I think this is what made the difference: the innovation, the agility, the concept of it's a platform, and giving you the ability to be self-sufficient. This is very important: the ability to be self-sufficient. So this is some small story. So if you want,
I would add to that we bring. And again, it's a platform play, right? We bring a lot of APIs, and the platform is very extensible. So essentially, it's very easy to build and connect other things to Priority. And as Eyal mentioned, you can really do it by yourself, right? You don't necessarily need like a third party or an integrator or something like that, and it just makes things so much faster, right? So this is like the speed of implementation that you can get with the type of solution like ours, compared to the bigger names you mentioned.
Right. And the other thing too is if you're a buyer, if you're an organization that is looking to buy an ERP system or any sort of enterprise tech, you also have to think about, how important am I going to be to that particular vendor? Because if you're, for example, if you're going to go buy, let's say Microsoft D365 or, Oracle NetSuite, whatever it is, you're just going to be a, small fish in a huge pond. And, sometimes working with a mid-market vendor, you just get more attention. They don't have tens of thousands of clients that they're trying to balance to, competing demands for. So I think there's some merit in that as well, especially if you're dealing with a product that can scale. If it's a product that can scale with your growth, why not have a vendor or a partner that's going to treat you accordingly, treat you with more attention and whatnot.
Really truly treat you as a partner and not a customer, right? It's a slightly different mindset, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if we think about some of your bigger customers, let's focus on your bigger customers that maybe have looked past just the brand names and have really dug in to understand what Priority can offer them. How do you balance that sort of innovation that you need to provide as a smaller, when I say smaller, I don't mean you're not small, but you're smaller than SAP, let's say, but being a mid-market provider, how do you balance that innovation and that speed that you just talked about? And how do you balance that with remaining stable, reliable, scalable? How do you find that right balance for your customers?
So basically, Priority, as I said before, it's a platform, and it's built on top of layers. So everything we're doing, we're putting like another layer that is basically consuming the other layer. So it's not like we're rechanging or we're doing everything. So if we have like now this AI layer that gives you the option now to do requests with natural language, it's behind the scene activating the business layer and the data layer. So at the end of the day, it's very strict. I mean, it's not like we're changing the system. So it's like just coming on top. The moment it's on top, the risk is minimal, because at the end of the day, it's continuing with your credentials, and it's continuing with all the business rules and all your customizations. And again, we're always thinking how it can be customizable and you can be self-sufficient. And as a platform, the platform gives you the ability to leverage, all these capabilities fast, and of course with minimal changes. It's just putting things on top of it or the previous layers.
Right. Anything you'd add to that, Yvka?
No, I think Eyal has just laid it out very nicely.
So maybe Yvka, you can help with this question around APIs and integration. So what you talked about how it's a platform, and you talked about the extensibility. You and Eyal have talked about the extensibility, but how do APIs and integrations help mid-market vendors compete? Why is that so important? When you talk about this being a platform and the extensibility of the platform, why is that so important for mid-market companies?
So I think it is. The thing is, ERP is no longer the only player, right, in a company's tech stack, right? Well, maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago, the ERP was the only product, right? And right now we need to be more extensible. I think the big difference between very big companies, right, and a mid-market company is that sometimes when big companies need to kind of extend their current solution or connect other platforms or other kind of software extensions to their existing stack, then they can bring, I don't know, an Accenture, okay, just using them as an example, and then they will have this like very long-term project of integrating ERP A with this technical product B and technical product C, and it becomes a very long and very expensive journey, which I think in our case we give our customers a kind of a shortcut there, right? We're telling them you don't need to bring those integrators, which are expensive, and those are long and very demanding projects. You can just do everything much faster, right? And we have different types of APIs. We have APIs that are, allowing you to connect priority to your ODBC, right? So essentially, if you have like a Power BI, you can hook that up to priority. If you want to get data in and out, you can use APIs for that. We're actually working to add MCP to priority. So essentially, all the futuristic kind of AI, LLM type of capabilities would be able to talk to priority as well. And under the same kind of security, permissions, business logic, and all that layer that Eyal has mentioned. So essentially, we're giving our customers a lot of tools to be able to do a lot of those things on their own, right, or with minimal investment, as opposed to having to bring those big integration projects, which are difficult, right? We all know they're difficult to implement and roll out. So,
right.
I can add just a few more stuff around it. So it's not only APIs that are giving you the ability to talk to priority from the outside world. We can always consume APIs that are from in priority to the outside world. So we can actually trigger something in a specific event or form. Now I want to call this API service that could be an AI service that does some optimization, or an AI service that does summarization or whatever. So it's not only inbound, it's outbound too. At the end of the day, the layers of the API, we build like 4 different types of API to fit specific needs. So we have like an API for the user interface. It's like it's reflecting everything that goes in the forms in priority as an API. So when someone wants to interact, it's that he doesn't need to write any business code or any business logic on the other side. I think this is very unique to priority. It's called Web SDK, giving the ability to actually take virtually the components in the ERP and talk with a mobile app or with a web app or even with an AI app. And there's the ODBC, and ODBC is something that is like obsolete, but it's not the ODBC that we're used to. It's ODBC on the business layer, meaning that you're not actually talking to the database. You can use SQL to talk to the business layer, and then you get so this is great for BIs, but at the end of the day, you don't need to struggle with how is the structure of the tables behind the scene are built. So this is another thing. It's a new technology. It's not an old technology. It's ODBC. And of course, we have RESTful API that is like the standard of everyone. And again, this is becoming too technical probably for the guys in the crowd.
I'm not very technical, so this is super helpful and interesting for me, and I'm sure others listening are not as technical too. But those are really good points and things that I think we're starting to get into some of the intangibles of, why you might consider a mid-market or a mid-tier software vendor, because there's just differences, and oftentimes it can provide more flexibility. And here's an interesting comment that actually supports. I think Eyal, you'd mentioned something along these lines a few minutes ago. And I apologize, I'm going to block all of our faces for a moment. This is from Yuri on LinkedIn. It says, I'm from Armenia, based in France. I provide technical and functional services for Sage X3 clients. Currently thinking if I should focus on including AI for technical support or just focus to be the most agile in the market, because clients are complaining with their integrators as they don't react fast on demands. So, I bring this up, not as a question, but just more as a validation that, something Yuri is seeing is that, sometimes these big software vendors, these big providers, the big integrators just can't respond or react fast enough. They can't be as innovative, and they're certainly not going to be as flexible. And in many cases, the platform itself is not going to be as composable or extendable and flexible as some might want. Here's a question I have that I think is a good one. This is from Sanjay on LinkedIn. Sanjay says, how can mid-market companies offer similar benefits to larger enterprises? So mid-market vendors, I assume you mean. So, maybe, looking at some of Priority's larger clients, because you're not just dealing with smaller, retail shops or smaller distribution companies, you're dealing with some larger organizations as well. What are some of the benefits that a larger organization might benefit from by using a mid-market provider like Priority?
I think first of all, it's the agility that he can see his return of investment pretty fast, because usually when we come to a prospect, we come with he's giving us these use cases, and we're showing in it can take a few minutes, a few hours, depends how we can solve it. So I think in enterprise things move slow, in the enterprise organizations, it's every change request, it takes a long time. And I think the agility of priority could bring huge benefit, because the time to market to implement priority and the ability to have everything out of the box and not start, tailoring all kind of third parties. I think this is a huge advantage. When as you said, we have a huge toolbox, and now with the AI, we're looking forward with the MCP. This is like the connector to other AI tools or AI applications. This is the future. So again, you can leverage things very fast, and we're always trying to be on the cutting edge. So I think because we're a smaller company, it gives us the ability to be, very initiatives. The innovation is it's coming from inside of us, and it gives us the ability to give fast responsive with the latest technologies, and it's a challenge. It's not easy, especially in AI. AI is like, when you do a proof of concept, it works. I have this. It's like a joke, I'm saying, like, you're trying to do some proof of concept, and you start up with taking 100 documents and one use case and 10 users, and say, oh, this works awesome. And then you hit the real world, and you have like 10,000 documents that you need to deal with, and multiple use cases and 1,000 customers. Then it becomes much more complicated. So the gap is very big, but we're filling the gap very fast because we're a mid-sized company and not this, heavy big companies that need to, just the communication between departments is it's a hassle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to add to that something, Eric, that you mentioned before, right? That for a smaller vendor, first of all, it's more of a partnership and not like, oh, take our software and, let's not talk until the next year when you renew. And another thing which we should not forget about is that even though we're maybe a smaller vendor, we still have the same capabilities for the big modern market. So essentially, having multiple entities across the globe, having multiple operations, right? So all those complex things, different localization things, right? So financial support in different countries. So we bring all of that, right? It's not that we're slightly smaller and then you don't have the benefits, or we don't cover all your kind of bases in those aspects, right? We do. And then on top of that, we're bringing the agility and kind of the underdog style that Eyal was talking about. So essentially, a customer can get the best of both.
And I want to go back to the previous question about the technical support. As I said, we're doing AI internally. So one of the things that we did, we generated this what we called AI knowledge base. So, and we implemented it for our customers in our customer portal. So when a customer wants to open a service ticket, then we have a deflection system. What it means, when he tries to open a ticket, it says, okay, let me try to answer it for you. And if I got it answered, then the customer got a response immediately. Doesn't have to wait in the queue, and we have less amount of open tickets on our service team. So it's a win-win. So we have it in multiple places. So think about this AI knowledge base. It can answer basically any question, and now we're even thinking to leverage it to our customers. Meaning, if a customer has his own scope of work, his own customization and his own implementations, tomorrow he can ask a question and he will take his own private data with the priority base knowledge base and combine these two to build an answer for this specific customer. And again, it affects the delivery times, it affects the support, it affects the customer satisfaction, and it of course gives you answers precise, dedicated answer, not documents to read, a precise answer for a specific question.
Right. And here, Tracy on LinkedIn here has an interesting comment that supports everything you both just said. But Tracy says, I think that smaller firms have fewer layers between the expert and the client. Oftentimes the rate of that principal is still cheaper than the large SIs charge for a consultant with less than 2 years of experience. So she's alluding to a couple things there. One is just the layers within a smaller organization looks a lot different than at a big SI or a big software vendor. So being able to work more directly or having less layers between the people that can actually affect change on a product or an implementation is critical. The other thing too, there's another. Actually, I wanted to ask you something real quick. You've got in EL too, if you have thoughts on this. But can you give us an example, or maybe a couple examples of the type of larger organization or larger clients that you guys have, just to put it all in context and perspective? Because I know we've seen some upper mid-market types of organizations consider Priority. It's not just, we've seen some smaller clients use it as well, but it's not we're not talking small scale here. I mean, can you give us a sense of the magnitude of maybe one of your larger clients, just in terms of size or complexity or industry?
Yeah, I can take it. Yeah.
We have like enterprise that have underneath them 50, 60 different sub companies or sister companies that have thousands of users, and across even multiple regions. It could be they have a base, in the States, and they have like offshore in Europe or in South America. It doesn't matter. So we are dealing with the complexity of all of this, let's say, major enterprise companies, and we're doing it pretty good. And as I think about it, I think Priority, one of the things that we can see, we have a lot of resellers, and the resellers are really happy to give support and give and sell Priority, because at the end of the day, I think one of the things that makes an ERP a good ERP is if you have a lot of happy resellers, if they can make money out of it, if they can sell and they can actually be self-sufficient. At the end of the day, not only our customers wants to be self-sufficient, even our resellers wants to be self-sufficient. And I think the ease of use gives us the ability now to extend it with the resellers, and of course the magnitude of companies from 2 and 3 licenses to thousands of licenses. You can see the full range of companies over here, and from all industries. We can find. I can't even think of an industry that we're not into, from healthcare to the food industry to plastics, retail, whatever you think about. I think we're already over there.
Yeah, and even complex manufacturing processes as well. So it's not like we're not just like dealing with those simpler customer use cases, right? We have customers who are using Priority with manufacturing, discrete manufacturing, process-based manufacturing. So those are very complicated, even computationally very complicated processes as well. So
So the differentiator is not coming from low-hanging fruits. Remember, we're here to solve the complex problems. If we solve them, this is the differentiator.
Right. Yeah. Well, and a lot of people don't know this, and I didn't know this until more recently. But you guys have, so Israel is not a tiny country. I mean, there's a lot of commerce, a lot of diversified industry there, and you guys have a very dominant position in the ERP market there. I mean, you have a majority of the market in Israel, which a lot of people don't know. And so you think about that. Even if I just look at Israel, I look at one country, and I think of all the different types of companies, all the different types of organizations there. And to think that you've got, I think it's like 60% or more of the market in Israel was the number I think I heard or read. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, just even if because I know you don't just sell in Israel, you have clients all over the world, but within Israel, because you're based there, you tend to have a dominant market share. So I imagine there alone, you have quite a bit of lessons and capabilities you've developed over the years.
Of course, Priority is like almost, I think, 40 years old. Maybe next year, I think it's going to be 40 years old. And of course, Israel is the place.
That's older than you, Yil.
No. I'm 52.
That's right. We talked about this before. We're the exact same age. Yeah. But you look like, the company might be older than you.
Not yet. We're trying to catch up.
Right.
So, Israel is the base, and I think we have like a joke. Wherever you throw a stone, you're probably going to find a Priority customer. And I think the thing is, Israel is filled with an ecosystem. So it's like, think about if an employee that works in one company and then transfers to another company, the chances that he's going to work in Priority in the same company, are very high. So in Israel, it's like everybody knows Priority. They teach them in the academy, and I think it's like you can't. I mean, every business you talk to either heard about it, or is using it, or is going to use it in the future.
Right.
Yeah, and curiously enough, a lot of those companies in Israel are actually global. So they may start as maybe Israel-only companies, 15, 20 years ago, and then they start to expand globally. So essentially, they take us with them, right? We go global. So in addition to just selling on the global markets, right, we're also supporting the expansion of our Israeli customers as they acquire businesses overseas, or they have some offshore operations and things like that, right? So they kind of take us with when their businesses become bigger and more complicated. So we're
and it's not
supporting
only
them.
that. Sometimes they even invent new modules, either the customers or the resellers. So you have a company that just specializes in construction, so they created their own module of construction in Priority. So give them the ability, the flexibility, and the ease of customizations gives the ability to generate your own stuff. So it's either internally or you can create a product and resell it on the Priority market.
Right. So, 𝗚L, I want to ask you a couple of questions now related to AI, and there's actually two questions from the same person on LinkedIn. I'm gonna pull up here, and I'll sort of combine it into one question. These are both from Darian on LinkedIn. The first question she has, I'll consider this a two-part question. First part is, can you share an example where adding this AI layer solved a real customer pain point? And then part two would be, what early results have you seen from the AI knowledge base? So while we're on this topic AI, I figured I'd tackle them both, but why don't we start with this part first? But can you share an example where adding this AI layer solved a real customer pain point, like a use case example?
Mm-hmm. So we're our own guinea pigs. So I can even talk about what the game changer was here inside Priority. So when we generate this AI knowledge base, as I said, it's like this mega project that has a lot of use cases. So as I said before, think about the use cases. We have tickets are being opened, and each time the AI reads the ticket and says, okay, I can understand from the conversation that the problem has been solved. So automatically close the ticket instead of showing in the service department there are 600-700 tickets open. Maybe it's only just 400. So people will deal only with the problems they have to deal with. And another thing we have is we have this SLA of 24 hours, and we want to give the ability to give first response to the customer with some kind of resolution. So the AI, if it understands that it can solve it because it's an easy question and we have it in the knowledge base, it will already answer it. We talked about the deflection. Instead of even opening a service call, maybe we can solve the problem internally, with the customer, give them the final answer, and avoid even opening a service ticket. Another thing we did is routing. Think about it that now you have people with special expertise, and someone is opening a finance problem, so he needs to find who is now on call and who can deal with it, and he will route it to the relevant person with expertise that knows how to deal with this service call. And again, there's a lot of things we did in marketing and in finance, so it's all around. I did things that analyze bookings. Now we're going to do churn. Put in machine learning. It's not only machine learning because it's something that keeps on evolving. It's reinforcement learning. Again, it's a terms from the AI world that can identify churn of customers, so you can be proactive. You're not waiting for things to happen. So all of this, all around, at the end of the day, is all about scale. You're doing the job 10 times more efficient. And I can give you more examples. I have this customer, and this is in the delivery. I'm pushing AI in our IT department, in our delivery. So one of the things, we had this company that purchased a robotic warehouse, and they wanted to integrate it to Priority. Before, we wouldn't even think about taking a project of this magnitude, of this integration to the robotic warehouse to Priority. And I told the delivery team, don't worry about it. I'm with you. Let's start doing this. You'll see, it's not too bad. And it took, we had tens of hours of conversation of how to do the integration. But then with AI, to write the gateway that talks between the robotic warehouse and Priority, it took an hour. An hour with full documentation, and it's already running live. And it's a high volume robotic warehouse that integrates to Priority. So think about it. Before, you need to have, a staff programmers programming things for weeks. And now it's something that is been done in an hour. So as I said, AI is a game changer, and it's all about scale. You're going to make things, it's take the same company, the same amount of employees, do 10 times more everything you're doing. And it's giving you automations. Instead of doing this repetitive work you're doing on a daily basis, move it to AI. Put human in the loop, and if something is, if it's not fully baked, even in the product itself, when we're asking, we want to give the customers the ability now to generate rules by natural language, for example. So even when you're asking something, create a business rule. So if I got if the profit was below something, then send an email. You just say it in natural language, and it will generate the rule for you, and it will show you this is what you asked me for. Do I approve it? Yes, and that's it. So a lot of time we can do the stuff with the human in the middle. At the end of the day, as I said, you're focused on your job. You're focused on what you need to do best, and not of this repetitive, boring work that can be done with AI automations.
Yeah, very interesting. Anything you add to that, Yvga?
Yeah, so just a second on what Eyal mentioned on the platform side, right, on the product side. So we've added a lot of those AI automation capabilities that really help customers who don't have the intricate priority knowledge. And I use it for myself because, as I said, I only joined the company 8 months ago. So there are things about the product that I don't know yet, and I'm talking to priority, right? So I don't know all the fields, or I don't know all the settings necessarily, right? And I can talk to priority in human language or search for things in human language, and it just finds things for me, which is great, right? I am my own guinea pig, right? I'm telling the people that I'm the best user because I'm a dumb user, quote unquote, right? I don't know how the product works sometimes, right? So I can pretend to be this very simplistic user, and the AI helps me do the job done. But on the second side, right, we're also adding AI to other places where the implementation and the usage is a little bit different, right? So we have the demand forecasting with AI, right? So you can train the models within priority, and you can have your AI powered demand forecasts within the product, right? And then they feed into your demand planning process and your kind of your working orders and things like that, so you can get this kind of as a streamlined processing. And the same thing around routing optimization is something that is going to be released soon. So we're not just adding AI to kind of improve the usability functionality, but also in those kind of the day-to-day tangible use cases as well, right? So we're trying to make sure that we're covering as much as possible with different AI capabilities, right? So it's not just like the Gen AI that everybody's hyped about, but also the older, right, the things like machine learning, right, Eyal mentioned, or optimization algorithms, or things like that still bring tangible value, right? And people can see the benefits of it and the cost savings and the improvements and the optimization. So they see this as well in their bottom line margins, right? So I'm happy that we kind of able to cover those bases, right, and not just focus on one thing or another.
Yeah, and so many customers that we work with are so far behind on the whole digital technology journey that any sort of AI advancements are going to be huge gains potentially. So I think looking past the hype the hype around AI and the hype around automation and that sort of thing, if we look past that, I mean, you look at just having a fully integrated solution, a platform. AI is cool, yes, of course, but there's just core basic stuff that companies haven't even gotten to yet in many cases, let alone AI. AI for a lot of them is going to be down the road in the future. So I think that's a really good point. What about so coming back to this thread of David versus Goliath? If we come back to that thread here, and there's a common saying in the marketplace that no one ever got fired for hiring whoever, SAP, Microsoft, Accenture, Deloitte. First of all, that's not true, because I can give you a whole list of people that were fired for hiring one of those vendors. But there's a common misperception.
Are they looking for a job? We're hiring.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So you look at that misperception that somehow big vendors are safer or can be safer. How do you convince CIOs and other executives at your clients that, hey, maybe you've never heard of Priority, or maybe you don't know a lot about Priority software, but or any this isn't just about Priority software, it's about any mid-market vendor. How do you convince CIOs and executives that it's not, you're not giving up risk mitigation, or you're not giving up the safety, the safety net perception of a big vendor? How do you overcome that perception with executives?
I think first of all, we're obligated to the highest standards in the market, from SaaS concept, security. We're working with AWS for everything, and I mean, even we're doing all this Gartner and ADC surveys that are checking us out to be that that we're capable. We're in even Gartner's Magic Gartner. So I think it's not only showing that we can play the game. I think the other big benefit when we come to a CIO and we show you, okay, let's say that we passed all the tests, but look, you have a problem. I'm going to show you how we solved it immediately. I'm going to show you the result now. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to show you some presentation and say, okay, it's going to be able to do. We're coming with a solution. I want to say I can prove it. I'm not just saying the system could do it. I'm going to show you. I'm going to take your use case and I'm going to come to you and show. Look, this is now the system. This is This is working. There's like an old story about one of our customers that he was looking to. The big vendors told him. I mean, the consulting groups told him you should go with Oracle or with SAP, and he said priority. No, it's not. It's a small company. We don't know if it's good enough. You should always choose. Like nobody got fired because choosing IBM. This I think was the first.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
and he said, okay, you know what? Let's put all three on a test. And what they did, they said, okay, look, we want to be self-sufficient, so let's take a simple process. I want to add a field to a specific form and to a specific report, and let's see how much time it's going to take you. So the guys from SAP is okay, give us a day or two or whatever. And Oracle was probably the same. We need to bring this team and this team and this team, and it probably took 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes. So I think when we prove that we walk the walk and talk the talk, and we give you something that is that works immediately and it solves your problems, I think this builds confidence. It's not something, theoretical. Look, we can do it. We've done it. And if you give us challenges, then we'll show you it can be done.
I don't know, eel. I mean, sometimes those vendors, they have better PowerPoint demos than you. And kidding aside, I mean, a lot of times it's funny you say what you just said about how it took 2 minutes to create that or to demonstrate a certain example like that. But I mean, I can't tell you how many times we go to these big demos, the big vendor demos, and you're not even seeing the product. Oftentimes you're seeing screenshots in a PowerPoint deck. And if you want to do something on the fly, I mean, you're not getting that from a big vendor. You're lucky to get a real live demo. And that's a big frustration for a lot of our customers. And I think a lot of times the big vendors rest on their laurels a bit, or they rely too much on their brand name than solving actual customer problems. So I think that's something to be said. And I've seen it at multiple mid-market ERP vendors where whether it's at a conference or in a demo, you can just see people that know the product better. And oftentimes they can demonstrate more hands-on and more real time than any big vendor could, largely because some of those big products are so complicated that there's no one person out there that knows how to use, for example, S/4HANA. It's such a big, massive, complex, gnarly thing that you're not going to find a person that knows it all. You're going to have a whole team, a whole army of people that can, amongst them, all of them, figure it out.
So I'm saying, you know what? Challenges. I'm saying it up front over here to everybody. If you think your ERP vendor can't solve your problem, doesn't hear your pain points, challenge us. I'm sure we can deliver.
Yeah. Well, in many cases too, I mean, both of you are hands-on involved in the product itself. And Yvga, I know you mentioned that you've only been there 8 months. You're still learning, you don't know every single field yet, but I would venture to say that, you're not just the two of you, but an average priority software sales team, when we've worked with them, they seem to know the product better. And it seems like you're dealing with people that actually have hands-on experience with the product. They're not just out trying to sell the software. They, in many cases, were involved in developing it or implementing it. So I think that's an important differentiator as well.
Yeah.
So,
And
oh, go ahead, Eva.
no, I just wanted to add that I think in many cases customers are buying not just the software for now, but also for future, right?
Right.
For the unknowns that will come in a year and in 2 years and 5 years. Again, with priorities, it's simpler to get there, right? Without having those very complicated, like you mentioned, right? You don't need 20 people to add one field. If you need something, if you need to extend your existing implementation. So I think this is what we bring to the table as well, right? With our flexibility and a lot of different ISVs that integrate with us, right? And provide. There was a question before about the different integrations that we have, right? So we have a marketplace of, sorry, a lot of different vendors that integrate with us and provide additional functionality. So customers can really see the place for for growth, and we don't lock them in, right? We don't want to lock ourselves in with our vendors, and we're not trying to lock our customers in. I think this is also a big thing for when customers are looking at us.
Yeah, I think this might be the question you're referring to, Eva,
Yeah.
from Darian on LinkedIn. What kind of integrations do mid-market companies ask for most often? So, can you give us some examples of the types of systems that you've seen customers integrate with Priority Software?
So we have document processing systems. We have shipping kind of vendors. We have e-commerce. Yeah, we have some AI point solutions for specific use cases, which I won't remember, but they are in the marketplace as well, including, I think, fraud detection and other things that people can integrate. I don't know if you have more examples, but we really have a kind of a plethora of different tools that people can just kind of plug in, including things like automation tools and likes of N8N, etc. Right, so all those things can kind of easily plug into Priority or get Priority data in, data out type of operation. Eyal, do you remember some more of those integrations?
Yeah, there's a nice integration that I took by myself. I mean, this professor from the academy says, "Okay, I have this innovation in AI. I built this algorithm to do, let's say, optimization of task management, to find the relevant equipment, the relevant employee." And I said, "Okay, you know what? I'll help you integrate it into Priority." And it's becoming a great success because at the end of the day, it's AI working for you. Think about it. You don't see anything. It's always only happening. Everything is happening behind the scenes. So what happens is now someone gets a task, or a storekeeper gets a pick list or whatever. It finds the most relevant personnel, taking on consider a lot of, let's say, there's a huge algorithm behind it, and this is why it specializes in AI. But the thing is, we like to, bring innovation and generate as much as ISVs as we can, because at the end of the day, this brings value to our customers. If it brings value to our customers, this is what we're looking for. So,
Right.
and other integrations I can think of, I think most of them are, like you have 𝗗𝘃𝗶𝗁, that is like this integration that automatically reads supplier invoices and integrates it to Priority. It does like AI with OCR and stuff like that. Trying to think anything. I think these are the one I can remember.
When I think that one of you, and I don't remember which one of you, mentioned earlier in this conversation that the way Priority is approaching ERP is acknowledging that ERP is not the only system that companies rely on to run their operations. And I think that's a really important point, because I think too many software vendors are trying to be everything to everyone. And you guys are saying, well, we're not going to be everything to everyone, but we are going to provide a tool that could integrate to some of these other tools that companies might need to preserve. Tracy on LinkedIn can commiserate with the PowerPoint and marketing armies and budgets from some of the larger software vendors, and I think that's a big thing. There is, I haven't seen Priority Software at the major golf tournaments or the big airport billboards, but that doesn't mean they don't have a good product, and same with other mid-market vendors as well. And then a follow-up from Tracy here is, and the demo is from pre-sales, so they just do the script. Good times. So
I remember the ones with the commercial in of this ice cream company in the States saying we might not have the money to be, I don't know, 30 seconds on television, but we have great ice cream.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, it fascinates me how much these big vendors spend on marketing. I mean, you look at in the US now, for example, Workday has a big ad campaign that has Billy Idol, Billy Idol. And I think the band Kiss is in there, and they use all these really big rock and roll stars basically to promote this message that there's they're enabling rock stars is basically the message. But you think, wow, how much money did that cost, and what could they have done with that money to develop a better product or to do something better to help their customers? But anyway, that's just my own personal pet peeve there.
Low-hanging fruits. They're focusing on the low-hanging fruits. That's what I said. We're looking for the hard problems to solve, and this is our differentiator. We are solving hard problems.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So what about when we look to the future? How do you see the role of cloud, SaaS, composable ERP, just the overall trends in the space that we're seeing right now? AI, of course, is one of them. How do you see the role shaping the future of competition for your customers?
So first of all, I think we're heading to, the future is unclear because first of all, it's very hard to hire employees like storekeepers and technicians and stuff like that. So people are going to try to find either robotics or automation processes. So I think a lot of the focus of what's going to go in the future is going to go to less rely on, people that are doing this repetitive, boring work, because nobody wants to work in that anymore. Everybody wants to be a manager or be an influencer or whatever. So at the end of the day, I think the main focus is going to be SaaS, AI, automations, natural language, robotics. Robotics is going to be a huge, I think, differentiator in the market in the 2-3 years, I think, from now. Any thoughts, Evgeny?
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of second on what you said. I met a retail customer recently, and he was showing me his robot for packing, e-commerce shipments, and then he would tell me like, I need to get another one, and I was asking, are you trying to save money on actual employees? And he would like, no, I'm not able to hire employees, so I'm not trying to save money on employees. I just want to be able to do the work done, right? And by the way, his robotic processing is connected to priority, and all the sales orders and the shipping orders and everything is kind of working together with this robot. So this is very very cool, and I think AI is going to be kind of helpful in that. Potentially not in the way that people kind of assumed a couple of years ago when it was super hyped, and people would say, oh, I'll just hit this button and magical things and unicorns would happen. But essentially it will make people more productive, right? It will take away parts of the manual and the repetitive and the kind of error prone work. And we will be able to guide our users, and by we I mean Priority and other vendors as well, I assume, to guide our users into being more productive and more efficient in their day-to-day processes, just to be able to do more and to be able to do more better, right? So less errors, less problems, potentially in a more optimal way. So I think, just to add to what Eyal said, I think optimization, right? So optimization around deliveries, optimizations around shippings, optimization around manufacturing, and the human resources as well. So I think that's going to be one of the future trends also. And translates into money, right? So people would be happy about that. Sorry, yeah?
So I'm trying to say specialized autonomous agents. This is what we're heading to. So you have like a AGI, it's like general artificial intelligence is something that is trained on specific, it's on specific data. It's very, let's say, it's not specialized on my domain. And I think we're looking at specialized agents that know my domain, that know my business, know how to act on a specific rules, and then you'll get accurate, let's say, responses and at the end of the day could be autonomous. So at the end of the day, we're going to see a lot of things becoming more autonomous instead of, even voice. Today we're doing chat. Now there's a big trend. Even myself, I'm using, think about it. I'm driving my car. I'm talking to ChatGPT and I'm saying, look, I'm going to tell you a story. I want you to generate now a website for this. Or I need to write an article. I'm going to talk to you in free language, and I want you to write this article. So I'm starting to use AI just in the car. Think about the driving time I'm saving because I'm driving, I'm doing the work, and AI actually is doing the work for me. I'm coming back to the office, everything is already up and running and ready for me. Of course, now we have the ability to connect to tools, so it can see my calendar, it can even log into priority. So at the end of the day, we just need to connect the dots and make things scale to be much more efficient.
Right. Yeah. No, that's super helpful, and that's a good vision of where things are headed with those different layers. When you look at agentic AI and cloud, composable ERP, all that stuff. Any other predictions you guys would leave us with as far as in the next, say, 5 years or more? Where do you think this industry is headed, especially in the mid-market, when you look at mid-market vendors like Priority? What do you think Priority is going to look like, and other mid-market providers? What are the big themes or trends that you expect to see?
I think Priority. So there is a notion, I would say, of a headless ERP, in a sense that you don't only have the traditional ERP interface, but you also have the different modalities of ERPs catered to different users. So we already have some of it with our portals that Eyal mentioned, and the mobile applications that we have. We have a kind of a generic Priority mobile applications that customers can customize, and they can essentially make them specifically and exactly what they want through the generators that we bring them. Plus, we have all the specific applications, like for the POD, your deliveries, your warehouse operations, your technicians and things like that. But I think essentially it will go even further when API could be another modality of consuming ERP, and then you could potentially put some other UI on top of it if you want, right? Or maybe your AI model could be that modality, or a chat, like a fully chat-based interface could be that modality. So I think we will have a kind of a vast, a lot of different options, right, for a lot of different types of users that would be able to consume data and functionality that sits inside ERP in the way that is best suited for them. I think that would be a good way for the market and for us as well, right? We want to make ourselves more accessible to those end users. So this is where I see, kind of a little bit of our future. Yeah, what do you say?
I think people are going to say, okay, spare me of the details and just put me in the loop if I need to handle something that you're not sure of. So things are going to become more autonomous, and we're going to involve a human only if there's something that needs to take a decision. And I think again, this is the future, and it's not too far. I think we're heading there very fast. We even now support voice, if I remember, in the mobile app, so you don't have to chat, or you don't have to use user interface. You just ask your question in voice, and this will generate the actions for you.
Right. That's good advice. And, another piece of advice that I know Priority Software has available to customers or to potential customers and everyone listening here today is a blog that you all published recently right here. If you scan the QR code at the top left side of your screen, it's a good blog there on the website, on the Priority Software website, about AI and ERP and how the two are converging, largely touching on those themes that you just mentioned, 𝗚𝗃𝗃, around AI and how that's going to potentially look in the future. So be sure to scan that QR code to read that blog and learn more about that. But I want to thank you both for being here today. This was a great conversation, and I enjoyed it and learned a lot from you both, and I appreciate having you here today.
Yeah. Thank you. So thank you, and we'll meet. Hopefully, we'll meet again.
Exactly.
And in the AI pace, it could be probably pretty fast.
Right. Exactly.
Next week. That's what you're saying, that we should meet next week, and then we'll have some new things to catch up on. So
Sagiv, the party CEO, tells me, I know how you're going to start our meeting, our weekly meeting. You're going to tell me, remember what I showed you last week? Forget it. There's something much better now because it's only a week distance.
Yeah, things have changed. I know I saw you and I saw your team at our Stratosphere conference a couple of weeks ago. So I'm sure, the world has changed quite a bit, in the last 2 or 3 weeks since I saw you all. So it's a good point that by the time we have you on the podcast next, I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about because things are changing so quickly. But I do thank you for being here today and thank you for sharing your insights and your expertise. Thank you to the audience for the great questions. Be sure to read the blog here on the screen, scan the QR code. That's actually EL just mentioned Sagiv, the CEO of Priority. He's the one that actually wrote that blog. So be sure to check that out around where he sees the future of AI and ERP. And you'll see this interview become part of our Transformation Ground Control podcast, which will be released Wednesday of next week. So we'll edit this, we'll add some additional content, we'll polish it up, and then we'll release it as a formal official episode of Transformation Ground Control. So be sure to check out that podcast at transformationgroundcontrol.com if you don't already, and you can see all the past episodes we've done there as well. So thank you to everyone for joining today. We'll see you next week for the next live stream. But in the meantime, have a great day or evening, and we'll see you all soon. Take care.
Thank you.